Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where today I have another review brought to you by DLT Trading. Look them up for all of your knife and EDC needs, and today we're going to be taking a look at the latest and greatest creation from GiantMouse Knives, and this is the GiantMouse Ace Corta. Now, before I go any further into this review, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in today. If you like what you see, please do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, follow along, and I will continue to bring you the content. Now, let's take a look at some overall specs on this knife right here. We have an overall length of 7.3 inches with a blade length coming in at 3.1 inches and a blade width at 1 inch at its widest point. We have a blade thickness of 125 thousandths with a blade material of M390, a drop point style blade with a flat grind, a handle length coming in at 4.2 inches, and a handle thickness right at 500 thousandths or half an inch. We have a handle width coming in at 1 inch with a handle material of some very nice micarta that we will touch on here more in just a bit. A liner locking mechanism with a very solid lockup. A user of a right or left hand tip up carry. This guy right here is designed by the ones and onlys, or the one and only. I can't say one because there's two guys, but Jens Anso and Jesper Voxness. As you guys know, they make all the designs for GiantMouse knives and do a very good job of it. Also important to note that this model is produced by Riot. So this is a Riot manufactured knife, and believe me when I tell you, you notice that when you get this guy in hand. We have a weight coming in at 3.8 ounces and a price of $195. And I'm going to say right now, I think $195 is justifiable for this model. It's Riot made. It falls in line with the rest of the Riot made models in this size and these specs. No real issue there with the price. It's you get what you pay for, and I think everybody knows what you get when you purchase a Riot manufactured knife. Now let's take a look at some size comparisons on this guy. Very nice size, I think, for a lot of people. We'll start off with some budget offerings, and then we'll take a look at a little more higher up models. We have the Kaiser T1 as well as the Kaiser Gemini. I mean, why not? Kaiser has a lot of good designs, and these are two of my favorites from them. As you can see, very much in the middle of these two, maybe just slightly smaller than both. Definitely smaller than the Gemini. Very comparable to the T1, but I think maybe just an eighth or a quarter of an inch shorter than the T1. Now let's take a look at some knives that are a little higher up, a little closer to this price range of $195. We have the Hogue Deca, which is, in my opinion, a fantastic comparison. Very close in length there as well. And of course, we'll bust out the Spyderco Para 3, and it's actually a little longer than the Para 3, not by much, but just a hair. Yeah, probably about, I'd say maybe a quarter, eighth of an inch, something like that. Deca is noticeably longer, but I think those will give you a good idea of just how big, wide, thick, all that good stuff of a knife this is. And let's take a look and let's start talking just about this blade. Before we do that, though, I want to give a shout out to GiantMouse Knives. You know, in my opinion, they're doing a lot of things right. Look at their overall body of work. They don't have a lot. They don't have a ton of models that they throw on the market every year. They don't throw spaghetti on the wall. They have two renowned designers that are absolutely fantastic at what they do. They work together, and year after year, they come out with, I don't know what, 2 to 4 designs a year maybe. Not a lot of designs, but not too many, and each one is different yet fits very well into the brand's identity. Now, when you have just two renowned designers designing all the knives, you're going to do a good job of that, but I just really like what they're doing in the industry right now. They're bringing out quality models that are all extremely different. They have good options in terms of materials and flavors, as we say in the industry, in terms of different types and visual in terms of micarta and coated blades and this, that, and the other. They just have a good mix of everything, and they're doing it at a good amount, you know, and not everyone has to be a Civivi and a Kaiser where you come out with a lot of models every year with a lot of variations. That's fine. I'm not knocking that. I just really like what GiantMouse is doing. It's simple. It's easy to keep track of and know what's going on with them, and they just do a really good job of representing their brand and continuing to build the brand. So I will admit, I am a fan of GiantMouse, but for very good reasons, and this knife is a prime example of that. Now let's start with this blade. It's a simple, beautiful, sleek drop point. I mean, who does not like that? This kind of reminds me of the blade of the CJRB Feldspar, but different grind, a little higher flat grind. Really love the grind lines on this satin option. There are 3 options. There's the regular micarta with a satin blade, green micarta with a stonewash blade, then you got an all blacked out version, and they are all in stock at DLT Trading right now, and they will all be linked below for you to take a look at and pick one up if it fits your fancy. The GiantMouse signature jimping is always welcomed on the spines of their blades, and I am a big fan of that, especially with this one. It gives you, you don't really have to reach too far up. It's a very comfortable place on this knife when you take into consideration the size and design of the handle and where your thumb just naturally falls right on that jimping line. Very, very nice. Gets just the perfect place to put your thumb. If you guys see all these scratches and nicks on my hand, I have a cat, so if you're wondering why I'm not dropping a knife on my hand, I play with my cat. I play a little rougher than most cat owners because she likes to play rough. So yeah, if you get a cat, prepare to have those kind of scratches on your hand. Now let's get back to this knife. The flipper tab on this guy is very, very nice with some excellent jimping that does the job without tearing your finger apart. We're going to talk a lot more about that flipper tab when we get to the action portion of this review. But outside of that, there's really not a whole lot going on here. Oh, I didn't even mention the blade edge is coming in at 17,000. So it is a very nice slicey blade. You know, up towards the top of the tip, you got a full flat grind. So this is going to be a rather slicey blade. I would probably consider it very slicey. With that nice M390, it's going to hold a great edge, and you have that minimal blade branding that you love, that at least I love with GiantMouse. Just a little Ace logo with the mouse on the side with the blade marking. Not much of an issue with where that's at, and a nice sterile show side blade. You can't do much better than this in terms of a blade, guys. I'm just a really big fan of this one. As we move into the handle, we have ergos that are very good. For my hand, and again, this is just my hand, it's a little cramped at the bottom, but it still feels good. I'm getting a full 4-finger grip. When I say cramped, I mean my hand, I can feel that this part of the handle is getting a little more narrow. And keep in mind, I do have rather, wide, maybe slightly bigger than average hands, whatever, but just to give you an idea, I wear like a large to extra large size glove. So if you have kind of the prototypical common size hands, I think a lot of people are going to love the ergos of this knife. Just really not even length, just slightly more narrow hands, and it's going to feel like a dream. And like I said, it still feels very good in my hand. Just notice that little bit of narrowing down towards the bottom of the handle. But of course, that's going to vary from hand to hand. The wire clip on this guy works very, very well. Better than some other wire clips. And when I say wire clips, I'm primarily talking about Spyderco and GiantMouse. Those are the two that I think I have the most wire clips of. A couple QSPs that are okay. But the wire clips on GiantMouse knives, like I've said before, I feel like they're a little beefier almost, and they're just a little more rounded. They don't have quite as much going on. This one works very well for me. Sometimes it's a different story, but this one really is a winner. It looks good, it works very well, and it feels very good in hand. Now the micarta. Let's look at this micarta. And you notice on this here, you have a slight little, I don't know if I want to say discoloration, because it may just be a natural thing in the micarta, maybe like a connection point or something, but there's a little bit of like a yellowish line here. At the end of the day, I think that's everything on this is going to patina up very well. This micarta is fantastic. Now keep in mind, this is Riot made, so I'm assuming they're just using, Riot's raw materials, and the micarta Riot has is always second to none. I've never seen better micarta on a knife outside of a Riot handle. They're just fantastic, unless you're talking maybe a full-blown custom, but we're never going to compare full-blown customs to production knives on this channel anyway. Very, very nice. Excellent grip, just enough to give you that good micarta feel without making it too bumpy and too rough. Sometimes I found like the more rough and coarse micartas will get a little fuzzy and bumpy and kind of get nasty over time. This is not going to do that. It's going to patina up very well. You get a very nice look at the grain on both sides, and it just feels extremely well. You have a little bit of kind of like a, I don't know if it's milling or just a little bit of some type of texturing along like right here and right here. Actually, almost kind of where the line is, where you see those little yellow lines. Kind of right there, there, and there. But very, very nice here. I love being able to see the grain and the detail. It adds depth to the handle of the knife, and I think it looks great, and it looks even better over time. So very, very nice there. I really like the enjoyable bronze backspacer. What was I thinking there? But it is enjoyable, and it is very nice. The bronze backspacer works really well with the natural micarta, and it just looks good. It gives the handle that little bit of pop. So it's not just micarta and raw steel or titanium. It is there, and it looks good. It looks really good. The lanyard hole back there, I don't mind that. I think it looks decent. People that like lanyards are going to love it. People that don't use lanyards aren't going to care. So all I have to say about that. But really, really nice in hand overall. No hot spots. Feels great. Like I said, if you have any bit smaller hands, you're going to love this even more than I do. And like I said, I do like it. And this liner lock works very well. Very easy to access without sticking out and being ugly. They carved just enough of that index choilish area here back to where you can easily get in there, disengage the lock, and it falls shut. You break it, get past that detent ball, and very, very nice. Nice. I'm talking like Mike Tyson now. Very nice closing action. But what's even better, what really makes this knife kind of great in my books, is this right here. It's the actual action. And it's Riot action, guys. I don't know how else to describe it. I think a lot of you have handled a Riot knife. You know that the action on a Riot is pretty much second to none. I think that can vary depending on just the actual model and design from knife to knife. But as a whole, in general, I think you can get as good as Riot. I've had very few examples where you get better than Riot. And keep in mind, Riot makes they do a lot of, manufacturing jobs for certain brands. So Riot is really more of just a manufacturer than an actual brand. I look at them more as just a manufacturer, to where you don't see Riot on this knife because it's a GiantMouse knife. And you see a lot of other smaller makers go through Riot. So the quality and action that they turn out on knife after knife after knife, it really shows here. And again, it's just a flipper. I know a lot of people like the multiple deployment methods, and they expect a little more than just a flipper nowadays. But man, I'll tell you what, if you're going to get a knife that's just a flipper, a Riot would be the right way to go, because it is just so smooth. And keep in mind, this is out of the box. This is going to smooth up. I haven't even put any KPL or any type of nano oil in here. It's going to get even more buttery smooth as you wear it in and take care of it and apply lube as needed. But you really can't beat that. It works great whether you're light switching it, and it works great whether or not you're push buttoning it, which is, of course, my preferred deployment. And worth noting, you see there's a real pointy area here on this flipper tab. That, in my opinion, that's not bothering my finger. I don't know about your guys' finger, but I can push this pretty much all day. And yes, I feel that it's a little bit of a pointy area, but it's not poking me. It's not causing any type of blistering or callousing or anything too annoying. It just no long-term effects, I guess. So you don't have to worry about getting the flipper fatigue with this. Very nice action. I don't know how else to put it. It's a Riot. If you know, you know, and I think just about all you guys know. Overall, in my books, this is a home run for me. This is one of my favorite GiantMouse knives to date. I think in terms of just actual design and blade, I think I would put this ahead of the Biblio. I still really love the Grand, and I do love the Biblio. I just like the size of this altogether. It really does come it really comes together for me on this one. Even the close design, the design in general is just super slick, looks fantastic, and is going to work just as good with a very aggressive slicey blade that's going to take care of the job for you. So that's the GiantMouse Ace Corta, guys. Let me know what you think of this. I'm surprised there hasn't been a whole lot of reviews surface of this guy yet, but I think there will be because it's a damn good knife. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think of it. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and until the next one, I'm out.